right, we got the sunglasses, and welcome to Nick's studio number 3. We got Omar here once again, Omar Rojas, and we are doing this podcast today. Basically, if you are new to this, my name is Nick Parren, and I am a filmmaker, a YouTuber, and content creator. Basically, we do this show to talk about our own films, and Omar here is also a filmmaker. So we get together, we talk about other movies, Hollywood, other movies coming out, TV shows, other content, and our filmmaking journey along as well, talking about our progress, in film school. I know Omar is in film school, and I'm just making movies on YouTube here. So we have kind of different views on filmmaking and stuff, which is kind of interesting because it gives us a lot to talk about here on this podcast. Let's just take off the sunglasses because I can't really see. I'm going to take off mine. You can keep yours if you want. But yeah, Omar here, he's been on these podcasts. This is his third time around. So if you guys watched the last few, you definitely know his story. But if you guys don't, and this is your first time tuning in, this is Omar. And, if you want to give like kind of a brief introduction to yourself, maybe like a little bit of an elevator pitch, if you will, to yourself.
No worries, Nick. My name is Omar, screenwriter, future animator, and also, overall, I was in filmmaking. I still am in filmmaking, but I prioritize myself more in the animation department and more in screenwriting and story writing and story construction of stuff. So overall, that's pretty much what I do, what I am right now. Current moment, I'm transferring over to a university to finish up and get my animation degree.
Awesome, man. So yeah, I know we just talked about that a little bit before this before this podcast started recording. Now, I know last one we were talking about you in film school. I guess first thing I kind of want to ask you, what made you kind of change your major into like filmmaking in general to strictly only animation? What really made you decide that?
Really, it was a lot of the equipment and stuff. I felt like I couldn't really understand and grasp a lot of the smaller things, and I really wanted to focus in on the actual story aspects of it. And I know in animation you do get to while it is tough and it is hard, I actually have been learning a bit of animation myself in my free time, and it is a lot less intensive of like environment, the type of camera, the type of lens, this, that, the extra noise stuff. You're all just focused on a studio, you've got your team, and you could just work on it. And then also you'd have to go outside to really like record and, take like a boom mic and do like all that kind of stuff. I've been in the sound production stuff right now, and I've been learning more sound production. I've got my rented boom mic there, and then I Zoom and lavaliers and stuff like that. And overall, I've been on some film production sets. I'm like, man, this kind of sucks.
How so? What made you say that?
Just because I've been on 3 night shoot sets so far.
Oh shit!
Films I shoot from like 7 or 8 in the afternoon to about friggin' 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning, weekdays and stuff.
Oh my gosh! Like I've never done a film shoot overnight, but I've had other actors and filmmaker friends who've done that like without any breaks or anything. They go all night to like 6 a.m., 7 a.m. But it's like, why would you even like do that to yourself? Because you're sacrificing your own like kind of well-being, and you're not getting that much sleep. I know you got to get the night shoots, but could you like schedule it like better? That's what I say when I'm talking to my other friends. So
sometimes we start like 7 and we go to like 12, and we're like, okay, we have 5 hours. We can get our 20 shots in, our 30 shots in, our some small things here and there. And then at the end of the day, like 6 guys trying to figure out what happened with the camera. Some guy trying to get stuck out of like the car because he's stuck in it with the boom mic. You got kind of like chilling, eating in the corner. You got some like random Phil dude who actually let the light drop.
Oh my god! And then you're just trying to stay open like all night, just trying to stay awake, drinking coffee, drinking Monster Energy, and all this stuff. It's like, oh my god, I couldn't imagine.
2 of those, Nick. You're not gonna believe this. It's been in like the coldest times of the year at night, so it's like 60 degrees, 50 degrees. You have people with like blankets. The actors are done with their shoot. They like run to the car, turn on the heater, and they're just like act cozy.
Yeah, you guys aren't. I mean, I'm a Florida boy, but I know you're in LA, so it's like our weather is also kind of the same. When it gets cold, like in our states, it gets cold. Like even in 50s, that might not seem much for like other people, but like in our states, yeah, that's fucking freezing.
We're humid states, bro. You're in Florida. I'm in California.
Exactly. Yeah. But you won't need to worry about that anymore since you're moving towards the animation, which I guess I kind of understand now. You put it that way. Really, for animation, you just need kind of the laptop, or not even like a laptop, but like computers. It's all computer generated. It's all within one studio. I guess live action stuff is harder now. You picture it that way,
Yeah,
especially if you want to do bigger budget things.
yeah,
A lot of people get involved, acting, locations, scheduling. That's something I struggled with a lot during my next project, which I'm working on right now. But just with the animation stuff, you're in one studio. You have kind of creative freedom because you can create any world within your technical space, and you can design it of however you want. And I think that fits perfect for what your stories and what you're going for because of your imagination and your characters.
yeah. Something else I really wanted to add for animation as well is it helps me also get into the writer's room, to like build like the I forgot what it's called. The storyboard. Yes, to help
Oh yeah,
build.
storyboard.
I can be a storyboard designer as well, and it really gets me into the writer's room, into the director's room, learning how they operate things and how I can just, pick up pieces and stuff like that from that on, which is really my main goal with animation because I don't want to be like an animator stuck, 16-hour shifts grinding away.
Oh right. In
Deadlines.
one location. You don't want to hate it at the end of the day. But I think moving forward that'll be best for you since it's better technical stuff. It's more of the equipment you're used to
Yeah.
and what you want to work with. I think for me, I'm on the complete opposite spectrum of you. I love shooting live action. I mean, even when I start shooting at night, I'm not doing it now because right now I'm prioritizing like scheduling and stuff, and I'm just trying to make things as easy as possible for me to make movies because of
Yeah.
my limited time frame, my 9 to 5 school, and other things. My main goal right now is just to make things easiest to shoot as possible and not worry about technical stuff, not shooting in the middle of the night. But once I get to that stage, I'm going to really enjoy it because I love making movies in general. Like even, I'm one of those people who sleeps in or like goes to bed at like, 9 a.m. and I have a strict like sleep schedule. But if I'm shooting all night for a movie, I'm going to do that because I love making that content. That might not work for you or other filmmakers, but we all have our different avenues and
Yeah.
that kind of thing. And I know you're talking about animation. I saw something on Instagram the other day because I know AI is kind of like taking over a bunch of stuff and like it's getting really ahead of the game. 2 years ago when it first came out, ChatGPT, people thought that was like the coolest shit ever, and now we're at a point where we're getting like AI imaging and AI videos and stuff. I saw this like short film, like it was like a 2-minute thing of an animation that was completely AI. It was completely AI generated, and it looked like a Pixar type film. It didn't look like 100% correct, but basically just took a little like some photos and stuff, and it AI generated into a 2-minute video with its own story and stuff. Honestly, like it wasn't the best or anything. Um, I thought I gotta send you it later because it was actually pretty cool.
You actually
But
got
like it looked good in like the first minute, but in the second half, it just like looked like some weird AI shit. Like like the weird AI shit, like when AI was coming out like 2 years ago, and like it was just a
like
bunch of random crap.
the
Like
videos on YouTube.
yeah, like those videos on YouTube where it looks like a dream sequence or whatever. That's
Yeah.
how it looked like, and it didn't even like. I saw the comments and stuff. They were like, oh, it didn't even look like that good or anything. And honestly, like it wasn't even a good movie or anything. I wouldn't watch it again. But the thing is, we're at a point now where AI is like kind of helping us, and it's getting more advanced. That's just the start of it. Obviously, it's not the best now, but it's able to create, you know, pretty good looking imagery based off like minimal, effort from us. I just want to hear your thoughts on that because I don't know if AI is going to be coming for filmmaking in the next like 20 years. Definitely I've used AI in my movies because, even for like audio stuff, even for text. What's your kind of thoughts on using AI for filmmaking, even for animation, like, what I was saying before?
AI for filmmaking. Honestly speaking, for animation, that's actually really useful because before you had to hit like hundreds of animators to animate, like let's say Devastator, like he's the largest animated piece of like like character ever. Like
Oh.
was so massive, he like blew up computers. Like imagine if it create that in minutes that took hundreds of thousands of hours from hundreds of people, and AI could do in minutes. So we wouldn't have to worry
Right.
about too much. We'd actually save a lot of money. The issue I have with AI is in the story writing, because obviously speaking, AIs don't know how to write good emotional stories.
Exactly.
They're cold, unfeeling machines. I say that now, and then I'm seeing iRobot, man.
Yeah.
Freaking Electric State on Netflix, but
Oh yeah.
but
Electric
overall,
State.
yeah, that movie was all right.
I haven't seen it, but I heard bad things about it actually.
It
So
was all right. The visuals were great. The story wise, it was getting somewhere, but it felt like more like a movie you just kind of turned on in the background just to like watch. Hear like the back.
oh yeah. That's like every Netflix movie though, really.
Yeah,
Think
pretty much.
about it.
Yeah,
It's rare some of them that are like, okay, this is like actual like a good movie. It's like everyone's like okay or oh that was pretty good. Like before you go to bed kind of thing,
yeah. Like if you're really bored, you'll watch something on Netflix.
Right.
Cutting back to the AI conversation, though, AI really does help out in filmmaking in terms of a lot of things. Like as you said, sound effects and stuff like that. It helps a lot with animation for the animation department. Now, for me, granted, when I ever get the chance to my show, I'm going to be using AI for a lot of the bigger scenes and stuff, so it could
Oh,
generate
definitely.
like detail and stuff. So I don't have to pay hundreds of dudes, keep people away from their children.
Yeah.
Overall, it's going to be pretty helpful for that. But for story writing and stuff like that, I feel as if companies are probably going to. Well, you remember the writer's strike a few years back?
Yeah, I remember that. Is that still going on, or is that kind of settled down? I think, right?
I think it's settled down more or less. I don't know too much on the news about that. I remember hearing, but I was like, oh, shoot, I'm kind of worried about my job and my future career.
Right. Yeah.
I dove more into animation. And now that's making me think more about my career. But
The AI thing kind of taking over. Is that what do you mean?
I mean, honestly, yeah, but I really think about this too. If AI starts to take over for my animation career, I won't have to pay millions of dollars to have a full production company. I could just have some AI and then like a few like head directives of animation and stuff. You
Right.
know,
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, you're still going to be the head of the story. You're still going to be ahead of the direction of it. It's just using AI to your advantage, and that's going to be how I see filmmaking in the future. AI is going to be used for our advantage, not to take over. I think it'll just help us out in the long run, especially since now filmmaking is becoming more, inexpensive to actually produce. That anyone can make a movie now,
yeah,
and it's never been cheaper to make a movie. Cameras now are cheaper than ever been. Everyone's got an iPhone.
my,
Everyone and anyone can make a movie, really. Um,
yeah.
I started out, a year ago making iPhone movies, and I'm still making that kind of, which kind of brings me into my next point, which about a month ago, actually at the beginning of this month. So when the Oscars were happening, there was this kind of internet challenge going around. So I actually made my first feature film, and guess how long it took me to make?
I'm guessing 3 days.
3 hours. So there is this internet challenge created by this one YouTuber called Joel Haver, and Joel Haver is kind of like this. He does like sketches and stuff. He does feature films also, which he did 12 feature films in 12 months in 2024, which was like crazy freaking thing he did. But he is very like his niche is like making feature films, full length movies with no budget, just him, his friends, and a camera. And every year for the Oscars, whenever the Oscars are premiering, and the Oscars take place over 3 hours, was it like 7 or my time 7 to 10 or whatever. I think in LA it's like 4 to 7 or whatever. Basically, he's been doing this challenge for 3 years now, where you have 3 hours to make a movie that's full length feature. It doesn't have to be like an hour and a half or whatever. It just needs to be at least 40 minutes, where
Mhm.
you create a movie during the Oscars when that's premiering. So I decided this year to make a movie during the Oscars. It was 47 minutes, and it was called The Movie. And basically, it was just kind of like a documentary about my movie so far, my last 7 short films that I've done on YouTube, and going to each location, talking about it, and also filming my next project, kind of like getting B-roll shots. It was basically me documenting while getting B-roll shots,
Mhm.
just talking about my story and stuff. But that was one project which, you know, it was super freeing for me, because for me, for the longest time, I've been like kind of dreading filmmaking in a way, because I have this next project coming up, which is a bigger, you know, bigger deal. And you know, I know you could probably relate to this, and anyone really watching this who's working on a big project, either, you know, for filmmaking or whatever it has to be, you're anticipating this big thing where you have a lot of people involved. There's stress involved, and you're, you know, getting locations, you're getting people involved.
Yeah.
You're doing all these calls, you're doing all these location bookings and stuff like that. And just that challenge alone, those 3 hours where you're forced to make a full feature film, like a 50-minute film, that was a really freeing experience, because when you really strip back like the layers and like the stress, the time constraints, and, you know, the planning, that movie was not planned at all. I had no idea what I was going to do in that time period. I just knew I was going to go out driving and make a movie. I had no idea. I had no plan. And basically what I'm getting at is it really allowed me to be free in filmmaking, and I really just trusting my instincts, trusting my mouth and what I'm going to speak. It really just gave me that freedom to, you know, go out on the whim and just really just make content. And that's really, at the end of the day, what we all want to do, is to get out here, make content, and not be stressed about it at the end of the day, because at the end of the day, this is stuff we truly love to do. So we should try to make it as easy as possible to do. And with the stress of, you know, full-time job, you know, if you're in school, you know, I know you could probably relate to this, you know, you have like so much going on. At the end of the day, you just want to make a movie, and, you know, having the stress and everything's peeled back. You got 3 hours to make a movie. What is it going to be about? You decide, and anything goes. And that freedom and that alone really, really inspired me. And I'm really proud of what I did there. So, you know, that is something I'm going to keep doing. I'm going to do next year. And it was super fun to make. You probably have never heard of Joel Haver or that project in particular.
No.
I think it's become a bigger thing since, like, I think every year more people get involved. And eventually, I think in 10 years down the line, people will get like more involved with that challenge. But I thought that was kind of interesting. I really wanted to share that on here. But yeah.
Huh. I didn't know about that, honestly. I don't keep track of like short film stuff and like, you know, just home films type of stuff. I don't know. I think I'm I think I'm too mainstream. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. That's the thing. Not many people know about this. And it's like we're all kind of like put in the mainstream of like, because I know that for both of us, we really want to get into like this industry, but I have like kind of like the backwards, like low budget viewpoint of it, where I'm just like, okay, if I want to make a movie, I'm just going to go make movies on YouTube, where I know you, and there's nothing wrong with these like kind of two paths that we're on. Like for you, you're going to school, you're getting involved with people and going on shoots and stuff. And I'm just one guy going out here on a whim, making content and stuff. And it's just interesting to see the two different avenues, which there's nothing wrong with either one. But I mean, what do you think about kind of my perspective of filmmaking? Like, you know, I don't know. You probably wouldn't do this where you go out on a whim, make a feature film like that. I think you're more of like kind of industry minded and like kind of like that, if that makes sense. Not as like an insult or anything, but this is how you are. And that's
for me, personally, you know, a lot of people can write like short films really fast and really easy, but I like to write films and stories that have a lot of depths and layers to it. And it all kind of like builds up. And it's kind of weird because I've tried writing multiple short films, and thus far I feel like I can't get them right because I feel like I just keep going on and trying to build something up, but then I'm like, wait, I got 15 minutes.
Right, yeah. There's nothing that much to build up. That you have 15 minutes.
Yeah, I'm like, man, as good as a story writer I am, you know, I can build up like big, long, you know, I've been building up like, as you know, a big series for the last year and a half. I'm on episode 7, wrapping that up with the writing and everything, making some concept art and stuff like that for the episode and such. And really, I've really started to realize just how much each episode builds up to like the next episode and how they all go back to each other. It's
right.
it's really like I just reread all of them. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is freaking amazing. I'm like, I pick up on this detail here and that and that. I'm like,
Yeah.
goodness gracious. And then I tried writing like 3 different short films this year. I was like, oh man, these make no sense. Like I need more context. I need to build up more.
That's how I'm like also when I'm writing my stuff. I'm like, does this make sense? But in terms of your stuff, like with your series that you created, I know you were working on the series for a long time. Do you plan to make that just an animated thing in the future then?
Yeah, hopefully animation. That's my main sort of goal. I really was thinking live action, but the problem with live action is going to go through the Stranger Things effect, where because some of the characters are children and like really
Oh,
young.
right.
For a fact, like let's say we do at least 4 years of filming, 5 years of filming, that kid's gonna be way too big by the time the series. Like you can
Yeah.
do all 3 seasons in like 1 year, dude.
I think you mentioned that last time when we did this podcast. Yeah, you mentioned like, yeah, if the kid's like, 20 by the time season 3 comes around, is he really a kid? Like, there's only so much you could do. But in the world where Netflix exists and like 35-year-olds are playing high schoolers, would you get away with that? I don't know.
Probably not. I mean, like they're not like teenage years. They're like one of the characters is 11, the other one's 5.
Oh, so
So
like preteen. Yeah.
yeah, like preteen, and then also like little one.
Yeah.
So
Either that or we just recast the guy every season and be like, he looks completely different each season. He's like, who the hell is this guy? Oh, he's like Rob or whatever. That's not Rob. What the hell?
no, it's good.
uh,
My job right now has me taking care of kids of all ages, so I actually get to interact and I get to see how kids actually are in the real world, which really does help me translate into my story. I can actually write how a kid behaves and understand their mind and mentality. Same with a lot of the other characters. It's just it really has me going in terms of my mindset because I really like to build films that build up to something. And a lot of like these bigger companies can offer that specifically. If I get like an opportunity to, let's say, build up my series, I can do that. If they want me to build up a different franchise or write for someone else's stories, I can build up for that.
right.
But
Yeah.
like these forms of
Definitely. I
videos.
have the same opinion also about like, creating, a brand, a franchise, if you will. I
Yeah,
know you've been working on the night crawlers, right?
Hunter.
Night Hunters. Uh, the Night Crawlers is actually another person I was following. He's working on that project, so that's why I said that. But you're working on this project for a long time, and that's awesome. That's something that you're taking your in-depth time to pinpoint of like the perfection. Also, I feel like I'm going to be the same way. Also, even though when I'm making like my scrappy like low budget things in 3 hours, I still have on the other side, I still have those projects in the back of my head where I'm like, okay, I have big ideas also that want have big impact. I need to be in charge of the studio. I need to have help. I need to have big actors for that. Like I'm still with you on that side also, where you're saying, okay, I need to have a bigger studio because this is a big impact project.
Yeah,
I think for both of us, we gotta like really plan out how we go about it because obviously in the future we are going to make these projects and it's going to happen, and we got to plan out our course to say, okay, uh, what are the steps to get there? How can we get there? Who are the people we need to meet? How many other projects do I need to make before getting to that stage? That's also where I'm at. Like I need to make more films. I just got to keep going, get the ball rolling, meet new people, and obviously I'll get those opportunities down the line. And same as you, I suppose.
hmm
Right.
yeah. I really get that too. You're trying to build up your experiences, your kind of background in film and such like that. For me, I wish I could possibly do that, but the current moment, because I'm barely starting off in the new animation major and shifting more towards that than from like actual filmmaking,
Right. Yeah.
still barely know how to move a circle from left to right and
Uh,
move the camera up and back, pivot like the lighting and such like that. Animation really has a lot of like depths into it that I didn't know before I started working on some of these like, for right now I'm working on Blender because it's free, it doesn't take up too much storage, and it's also there's a lot of tutorials on it. But I know in school we're probably gonna be using a different animation software when I start off next semester in August. but overall, I want to get at least the feel of it, the understanding of it, how things work and function.
Right.
And yeah,
Yeah.
just overall growing my knowledge is like how I'm doing is how you're doing it as well, growing your knowledge on how to do proper film.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, and then for you, you're basically a beginner right now because you haven't even started the class. So you got to have, you're starting basically brand new, even though you know the side of filmmaking. Animation is
Yeah,
a completely different ball game because, like you said before, I don't even know how to move a circle left or right. I don't know anything about animation, but I think someone said yesterday, or I was watching a YouTube video about like how animation has come so long, where like those old classic Disney cartoons, like in the 50s or whatever, they had to like draw each page, of like Mickey Mouse, and like they had to change it just a little bit,
yeah,
and then flip it or like put it in the processor or whatever. That took forever. And now I think animation and what we talked about earlier, filmmaking and animation has never been easier done before. Now we have the technology. AI is coming out, which will help us in the future. I think really everything is on our side now, and I think when you start the new class, you'll definitely have the right tools, and it'll come naturally. Everything will be
yeah.
everything will be good, and you'll learn quicker than you think.
Yeah, it's really nice though too because I have a really good experience in screenwriting and such like that. I've not just worked on like your little like short films and such. I've been working and helping other screenwriters and such, and it's really weird because a lot of people in my screenwriting class come up to me for screenwriting advice, or like
Oh
people
yeah,
me out of nowhere like, "Hey, I heard you're a screenwriter. Can you help me with my script?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." Honestly, I'm gonna
yeah,
start.
you're pretty good. So it's like, yeah, they learn from obviously a hard worker like you.
Yeah, I mean, I screenwrite in my own free time. I mean, the 900 is not the only series I've been screenwriting. I've been screenwriting like the short. I was trying short films for a while. I have a bunch of like side projects and side stories that kind of like really think of like short stories of like the main 900 series. They're kind of like the prequels of them, like smaller, like 20-minute episodes, if you could say.
Oh,
That kind
okay.
of you know think of like have you ever seen like those Overwatch shorts?
Overwatch, like the game.
Yeah, like how like each character has like a little like video of like their like history or something like that.
I've never seen it, but I can picture what you're talking about. Yeah, I
Yeah,
understand.
I kind of got inspired with a bit of that. And I started kind of writing like little like side stories, and it kind of developed into like a little series, like a mini series, you could say, and it's really
Oh,
cool.
okay.
But I've been trying to like test my waters in writing a lot of things, just exercising my mind and stuff with writing, and because I wasn't writing for like 5 months last year.
Oh,
I'll be
wow.
yeah, I was getting so overwhelmed from everything, man. It was insane, but now I'm back. Now I'm getting back into screenwriting, diving into animation, and overall, it's looking pretty good for the future. A little worrying, a little troublesome, but as far as we can tell, we have it easier. It's cheaper. It's more affordable. It's just
Absolutely, yeah.
really good.
Yeah, it's really good. And yeah, I think for both of us, the future looks great. Especially for my next project and your classes moving forward, and your stories and your writing. The future has never looked so bright, and I wish you luck on that. I guess moving forward, I know we just talked about kind of film school stuff and
Yeah,
our projects. I do really want to talk about some other movies that came out this year, and I know last time we talked about basically all the different movies came out in 2024. I think there was kind of like a dry period there for a second where after December, January, February, March, like even now, there wasn't even much coming out into theaters or streaming. Like I haven't seen that much. I started watching The Chosen because I really wanted to watch that. I haven't seen it yet. Have you seen The Chosen?
a little bit of it. I haven't had much time to dive into it. I've got like a whole bucket list of shows I want to watch, but I'm like, man, if only I had time.
I know, yeah. I barely have enough time for that, but I'm a big Christian, so I really
Yeah,
want to keep watching that. I love the gospel and stuff, and
yeah.
I know that they keep making new seasons and stuff. Season 5 just came out for that, and I'm only on like episode 5 of season 1. But eventually I'll get to that. But I know there's been a lot of stuff in Hollywood moving forward, like different movies coming out. Like I feel like today is March 28th. I think this podcast is going to come out like 2 months from now or whatever. But today, a lot of different movies came out. Death of a Unicorn, a bunch of stuff maybe on streaming. But last week, Snow White came out, and I know that a lot of people have been freaking out about that. I know you don't want to talk about this. So I'll let you start first, where you stand with the movie, because neither of us have actually seen it. We just know a little bit about, the controversy, and obviously we want to talk about that.
Oh, yeah.
So I'll let you start.
To start off, the film itself looks horrendous. Obviously the cast of the Latina for Snow White, the character who's white as snow.
Oh,
I
guess, wait, she is Latina then, I guess, yeah, right?
Yeah.
Was it Rachel? Rachel, I don't even know her last name.
Yeah, me neither. She got a big opportunity and she pretty much bluffed it by just, but all the controversy on the internet, it's out there. We don't have to explain it. But to sum it up, she started running her mouth on the internet and she paid the consequences for it.
Yeah, it happens. I don't even know what she said, but like they were talking about that like a year ago of like her mouth and her stuff. I don't know.
Yeah.
She might seem really ignorant or selfish. But I know she was in a few other things. Like I think she was on the Disney Channel. I used to watch her back in the day, and it was just like one of those actors who is like kind of in the background, and she gets like a big chance to be in a Disney movie. But it was kind of funny because last Friday, like I was gonna see it, and like I had like no anticipation for it. I didn't really want to see it. I miss going to the movie theater. I haven't been to the movie theater in a long time. Like I love going, like even with me and my mom or me and my friends, like we'll just go, like just see whatever really, because the magic really happens at the movie theater, and I haven't been to one in a while. So I was just like, hey, let's go see Snow White and stuff. And it was funny because like I knew the movie was gonna be bad. I knew like people were gonna hate it and stuff. But I'm like, I know all these Disney remakes are shit and stuff, but like let's go fucking see it. I don't care if it's a musical or anything.
Aladdin,
yeah, what?
This might be controversial. The Aladdin remake wasn't that bad. I actually quite enjoyed that one.
I enjoyed that one. I do enjoy some of them. I fell asleep during the Little Mermaid one where I just played that on Disney Plus or whatever.
No, it was funny. The movie didn't even last like 2 weeks in theaters, man. It was like there for like a week and then they're like, nope.
I don't know why they keep trying. It's like they know this stuff doesn't work. Why do they keep remaking stuff? And like it was funny because my mom didn't even know about Snow White. She was the one who wanted to see it like a few weeks ago. She's like, oh, I really want to see that. She saw like the advert on like TV, and she's like, oh, that looks really cool. And I went to book the tickets and stuff, and she's like, okay, she's kind of annoyed for some reason, and she's like, okay, I hope this shit isn't a musical or whatever. I'm like, this is Snow White, right? This is a Disney movie. She's like, what? She's like, I thought this was like a drama action movie. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, what Snow White are you thinking of? She's like, oh, there was one that came out like 10 years ago. It was like this action-packed like drama shit. And no joke, we were sitting here on a computer for like a good hour trying to find this movie she was talking about. Like it came out in 2010. And surprisingly, like since Disney is like a public IP, like there's been like 100 different Snow Whites that have come out. Like there's been like this drama one, there's like a horror one, and like a bunch of other ones. And then she brings up this one, and it's like this picture of Brett Cooper. I'm like, oh, she's a girl. I'm like, that's Brett Cooper, like a podcaster or whatever. And like, she's not Snow White. Like, and it was just kind of weird because like we were trying to find this one, and I think we ended up finding it. It was called like Mirror Mirror or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just kind of interesting because like there was like 100 different movies out there, and she thought it was a different one, which is kind of funny. But it's kind of one of those things also where like obviously people know it's a musical. Why are you complaining about it if it's a musical? You should know that this is Snow White. It's Disney. But for me, I was just like, I didn't care if it was either way. I just wanted to see a movie, even if I knew it was going to be bad. But yeah, that was kind of funny. And just we canceled the tickets. We got a refund and stuff. And then like the day after it came out, I was like, I'm curious to see like the reviews and like the Rotten Tomatoes score. Let's go see like the IMDb score. And then like everyone is like disliking it on like the Google page and stuff. It's like, holy shit, I've never seen reviews this bad before. It must have been like the thing is, like, I saw a review saying like it wasn't even that bad, but it was just funny that everyone is like doing 0 stars on purpose, just to show like we don't want this, and I think that's so powerful because we don't want this shit. We don't want remakes. We don't want uh this crap.
Yeah,
Uh,
we don't want this woke stuff anymore. We actually want good films.
yeah, exactly. It's like I don't know the wokeness or the whatever because I haven't seen the movie.
No, they took out the. It used to be called Snow White and the Seven Dwarves, but apparently Seven Dwarves is offensive, so they removed that.
Oh, 7 little men and the 7 men.
The Seven Men, like, hey,
Whoa! You got
oh.
7 men where? Oh my gosh. But I mean, like, in terms of remakes, some of them are good. Like you said, you like the Aladdin one.
Yeah, I
And
mean, ended it out a bit. Had a few more songs. I had one of those songs stuck in my head for like a solid while after watching the movie. And overall, honestly, even though it casted Will Smith, there's a lot of controversy about Will Smith. You know what happened?
why about the controversy? I remember like people were pissed off he was in it, but like he was actually a pretty good part. I think.
The Chris Rock jokes. You remember that? All right.
Wait, I don't remember it actually. I don't remember seeing the movie.
The Will Smith smack.
Oh yeah, that oh with the Oscar part. Is he still canceled, or people forgave him by now?
Society. We don't forget people. Anyway.
No, just cancel them, and if they try to come back, we just like,
We forget about
get out of here.
No, most likely people forget about it, and then they just come back, and that's it.
They get canceled again for some other bullshit.
Yeah, most likely.
Most
But
likely.
I'm honestly quite tired of remakes too. I want to see something new in theaters. I want to see something creative and fun and engaging. And it feels as if a lot of movies and shows just don't feel that engaging. I'm gonna be honest. I was scrolling last week through Netflix, and I was looking through all the shows that I wanted to watch. But I'm like, I watched the trailers. I tried watching the first episode. I'm like, man, they don't feel the same. They don't feel like there's nothing to it. It just feels soulless. It feels very.
Yeah.
I don't know how to describe it, but a lot of the modern films feel very soulless, very bland. And I was gonna hit that as the Fallout because I heard Fallout was really good.
Oh, I never played the games, but I heard the show was pretty good.
Yeah, I was gonna watch the show, but I didn't have time. I had to head out, but I was very disappointed with a lot of things that was coming out like Netflix and Amazon. Overall, I have enjoyed one show thus far, one good show.
What's that?
Have you?
Oh, sorry, say that again.
Have you seen Invincible?
Invisible? No.
Man, you're missing out.
I keep seeing the previews for it on like the Amazon Prime, like when it pops up on the top. That show was pretty popular a few years ago, but I never saw it because one, I don't like anime, and then like two, it doesn't seem that interesting to me. But like, what makes you think it's pretty good? Like, what's so special about it?
It just, the popular superhero genre in film is just kind of like, like you've seen all the Marvel movies, the Marvel formula by now,
Right.
Like the character starts off, they get pulled into something, big bad revealed, lose big bad, they go into some trial, then they finally beat the big bad, end of movie, and it just feels like, okay, now I've got superpowers, I'm cool. They haven't feel like they've grown much. And
right, yes.
It flips on its head and introduces like pretty much like it's your basic like superhero like punchy sort of cartoon, and then it flips on its head, and then now every character has their own kind of story. Like the world is impacted by certain events, and people are growing and people are dying, and it's just so different from what the Marvel formula was. It just like, well, I watched that first episode, I'm like, yeah, the ending happened, I'm like, oh shit.
Oh, it's like completely like you took it by surprise kind of thing, just like completely ripped from like the formula, what you expect.
Yeah, and it's a new formula. It's a new kind of thing that I'm kind of like taking in, and every new episode. Season 2 was honestly pretty like meh for me, but it helped build 3. And some people don't like it, some people do like it. Honestly speaking, different people, different tastes. I personally enjoyed season 3. I don't like inappropriate stuff too much, but I usually skip that kind of stuff anyways.
Was there like a lot of like inappropriate scenes?
That like implied sex scenes and stuff, but overall, I usually just go, no. I'm a Christian. I don't want to watch that stuff, you know.
Nah, I do the same thing. I'm like, yeah, it's over the top. Especially if like they go past like 20 seconds. It's like, okay, what are we doing?
Like, yeah, imply the kiss, imply they go off screen, and then cut to the next thing. I don't need to see them get naked or anything. It's like, I'm like, I'm done with that. I don't want any part of that. Let me just
let's move forward with that.
yeah.
No.
Sex scenes in films, most filmmakers add it just because it adds more people, like more guys' attention, because they're like, oh shiz, Scarlett in the sex scene. Let's go watch it.
Oh my god, that's something. Oh my god, I can't get past like why filmmakers do that. Like, I know like for some scenes, like in some movies, it makes sense, like a romance or whatever. But
I mean, it was good. It implied it, and then it just kind of showed a little bit of the aftermath, and that was it.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm just saying like films that take you with it. Like they gave you the whole shebang, and it's like, why did we even like see the whole thing happen? When it's like, yeah, it's kind of gross, really. I think there was. Have you seen The Room?
The which one?
The Room. It's called The Room.
No.
It was this kind of funny movie. I mean, it's not a funny movie, but it was so bad that it's funny kind of movie. It has kind of a cult classic kind of following to it. But in the beginning, 5 minutes, there's like this full kind of sex scene and stuff. And it was just like kind of so random. It's like, why are we seeing this full thing kind of take place? Like they pace it right, and then like intentionally on the sex scene part, they slow things down and like they want to show you everything. It's like, why even put that in there? Like there was also another one, Desperado. Freaking what's his name? Robert Rodriguez. It's like, why'd you put a sex scene in there? I just skip past the whole thing. 3 minutes? Are you kidding? And it reminds me, like, if I start making bigger movies and stuff, and I want to have like a romance scene, like I'm not gonna show any of that. Like, why would I? I want to imply it. I'm not gonna show it. That's stupid.
No, yeah, I really can't get past Game of Thrones or what the House of Dragons. My brother's like, oh, watch these shows. I'm like, bro, I watched the first episode and there was like a sex scene like 20 minutes in. I was like, I can't. It's like in every episode of Game of Thrones, there's at least one sex scene. Literally, almost every episode has a sex scene. I'm like,
is this Game of Thrones or Game of Beds? I mean, like, what is this?
Yeah, it was. Like, man, there's more sex scenes on here than Pornhub.
Like, what are we doing in the editor's room? What is this?
The editor.
Editors, you got some explaining to do.
Man, it's like, I don't want to watch these things. I don't want to be a part of these things. I want to actually watch a story, because now it just feels like I'm anticipating like a sex scene whenever there's like a kiss involved. I'm like waiting with the controller, I'm like covering my little eyes,
Is for some reason I have the worst luck when I'm watching a movie, like super rare occasion for me, and then like this like sex scene comes on when my mom walks in, or there's some inappropriate thing. Every single time it's like a curse. And I'm like, Mom, I swear it just happened. And I say it intentionally. I'm like, I'm not even lying. It just happened. Like there's no lead up to it.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna be honest, as a filmmaker myself, I will not be including any sex scenes or any sort of like, things like that, like inappropriately into any of my future films and any of my films. They just don't seem right, and they don't fit in the film, unless it's like a romantic, kind of stuff. But even then, I wouldn't push the limits of it becoming close to a Pornhub kind of situation, Pornhub scene, stuff like that. It's not good. It honestly, it's not good at all in film.
No, it only does. It doesn't do any good for the film. And another thing, it doesn't do any good for you as a filmmaker or the actors. You're making everyone uncomfortable. It's like, if I think about it, like if I'm doing a movie in the future and I have like 2 actors or whatever, why would I put them in that uncomfortable state? I know some actors are like totally fine with that because they are actors, for one, and they've done millions, or they've done hundreds of scenes like that. But it's like, why even like put yourself in that position? Like, I don't want any part of that. Where I'm filming there, I'm like, okay, action, and I hear like, I don't want that.
Yeah, and then imagine like let's say the actor's like spouse or something. Imagine how uncomfortable it makes that.
Yeah, he's like on set like the one day he comes to visit, like, hey, what are we filming today? He's got like his tea from Starbucks. He's like, oh, okay, and he just sits there in that chair, like, oh, okay, I guess we're watching this now.
They turn the film to like, oh, you're gonna like this movie, but skip the 53 minutes and 21 seconds.
We'll skip this sex scene, then the next one, and the next one.
Yeah, it really gets to a point where it just gets uncomfortable. It really gets me uncomfortable, and I don't want my actors or anyone involved with that to get uncomfortable with that kind of stuff because it's film. I want this to be an art form and expression of stories and overall like the plot and the characters and the growth. You know, sometimes a sex scene can grow a character, but not the scene itself. I don't want to see any of that. Like if it's implied off screen, okay. You know, like, oh, they're getting to bed, you know, cut like camera goes up, you know, they fade in like maybe 3 hours, 4 hours later. They wake up, they're in bed or something, just like cuddling or whatever. That's it. Right?
Yeah, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
It ends it there.
Yeah, but it starts to get to a point where it's just in every single show, every single movie, there's a sex scene, there's this, there's that, and it just becomes unwatchable for me personally as a Christian. I won't watch them. I don't watch a lot of films nowadays because of
Yeah.
stuff. It's like they're trying to over sexualize stuff. At the same time, they're making the story so boring and generic that I can fall asleep, wake up, and still know what's happening.
Yeah, it's a shame, really. And kind of going back to like overall in Hollywood and all these like kind of generic movies and stuff, like kind of to talk about like the sex scenes, and obviously that's been around for a long time now. But
Mhm.
what you're talking about earlier with Invisible and how that kind of flips on this head, where he does kind of the sex scene thing kind of organically and doesn't overstep the boundary, which makes sense and stuff. I guess going back to like the superhero topic and like the kind of Hollywood stuff moving forward, because I know MCU stuff like DC, nothing's really been the same since like I think 2019, where all these different movies are
Endgame.
coming out with Endgame and stuff. MCU, like the more I think about it, there's been a few good projects, but everything else doesn't really interest me. Like I haven't seen a Marvel movie in a long, long time. But I know yesterday, actually, now that they were recording this, I said it before, March 28th. I said that before in the podcast. But yesterday, actually, they released the first kind of teaser trailer for Avengers Doomsday. And I actually have really a good hype for that, because that's something I've been looking forward to for a while now. They had a really big cast. What's his name? Robert Downey Jr. is
Yeah.
back. The more I think about it, the more it gets me really excited, because they're bringing back the best actor from the MCU in a completely different light. He is the villain now. And I kind of want to just talk about this with you, because I think Avengers Doomsday has the potential to be something really, really special. And I know I'm not like a big MCU fan or whatever, but I just love kind of like this direction of like where it's going in. And I want to hear your thoughts on it. What do you think of this project coming up, and the past MCU movies last few years? This one, what are your thoughts?
So starting off with past few movies, there have been some good projects overall. I did enjoy a few of them. I enjoyed Loki specifically.
Oh,
Moon Knight.
definitely.
Moon Knight
Yes.
was good. Shang-Chi was pretty enjoyable. Like, I mean, it was a pretty generic Marvel movie. It was enjoyable, but a lot of the other things like She-Hulk, the Doctor Strange movie, and all the other films that came out, just they weren't clicking. There was nothing there. And so Avengers Doomsday does have the opportunity to be pretty good, honestly speaking. It has so many like cards in its hands, like you don't know what they could pull for that film, which actually makes me excited to see if they'll actually pull something new and something different that's good for the story, not for whatever politics they're trying to spread out, but for specifically the story. And overall, I'm actually quite excited for this. I wasn't too excited, but after seeing some of the more like recent pictures and photos and things like that, I'm a little like, huh, this is getting good. I mean, it does feel a little, I'm gonna say a little cheap, because it feels like it's just fan service with reintroducing Robert Downey Jr. again, but seeing him in a new light as Doctor Doom could be interesting. And if they pull it out right, could be a new refresh and a restart for Marvel.
Definitely. Yeah, I'm excited to see Robert Downey Jr. back again. I think I never thought like it was a cop out or like kind of a cash out for Marvel in general to bring back him, because like we saw Iron Man's ending and yeah, we all love his character and stuff. Robert Downey Jr. is the best actor and stuff like that. But the way they're bringing him back as a villain, as playing Doctor Doom in this alternate kind of universe where instead of Tony Stark becoming Iron Man, he becomes a villain, and he's going to take over all these different like universes and stuff. That's a super cool concept because it turns again like this whole thing on its head of like we had that build up to Endgame. Iron Man was the hero, and that now we're gonna see him as the villain. And I don't think we ever really like seen this kind of story before. And I don't see it as a cop out, but it gets me more excited than having Kang be the villain or Loki or stuff. And I agree with you when you said like Loki. That was a magnificent show.
Oh yeah,
and I loved it. It came out in 2021. I loved the first season. I loved the second season, and I'm glad he's back. They announced that Tom Hiddleston is coming back for that, and
Wait,
I honestly can't. Oh yeah.
I didn't even see that.
Oh, they had like the cast announced. Did you see that?
No, I just saw Robert Downey Jr.'s chair for 3 hours, and that was pretty much it.
They had like the whole cast kind of logged in. I mean, I guess it's not a spoiler. Sorry about that.
I know. I'm still sort of like, wait, what? I'm processing this right now.
I mean, I'm sure there'll be like plenty of other surprises, but I think a few years ago, I was more excited for this project. Like, there's a bunch of other characters that are not going to be in this, like Wanda Maximoff, Spider-Man. Those characters were my favorites, and I guess Wanda Maximoff had a really disappointing ending with Doctor Strange 2. I didn't really like that movie.
Right.
I think No Way Home set off Peter Parker in a different direction, and he had his happily ever after kind of. But I think they're making actually Spider-Man 4, but I don't think he's going to be part of this next Avengers movie.
Who knows? They might surprise us. You never know.
They might surprise us. We'll see. Maybe we'll get what's his name? The Spider-Mans, the old ones, Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire. Maybe we'll get them back. I'd love to see them back if that happens.
Well, because I mean, Spider-Man was also like a big part of Iron Man's characters. Like this, well, not humongous, but he was still a part of it. If he's not in this movie, it might be a bit like, I feel a bit weird.
That's true. Well, like I feel like Spider-Man is such like a important element in one of the only like real Avengers that are still like kind of around. I feel like all the other ones are kind of doing their own thing, and they're all like in space and stuff.
Sword.
No Way Home and Peter Parker. That story really fits in the multiverse saga, and it just makes sense for him to be in this one. I'm sure they'll surprise us because even though they have a full cast announced, like they have 40 people in like the main cast.
But the bunch, oh my gosh.
And they have like a whole bunch of like different ones from like different MCU movies. That's kind of interesting because they're going to bring all of them like together. And like you said before about like the cards and stuff, they have so many cards on the deck. They have an unlimited deck. They can bring characters back from like, the old movies. Like anything goes with this. And that's why I'm super excited for this because like I said, I'm not like a super big MCU fan, but like just seeing it happened, like 3 years ago when we saw No Way Home. That was an amazing movie because it brought 3 generations of Spider-Man fans together, and having an amazing story, amazing acting, incredible characters, twists, turns. It was a great movie, and that was a perfect MCU movie. And having that kind of formula moving forward for surprises down the line for Avengers Doomsday, Avengers Secret Wars, I think the possibilities are endless with that, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yes.
So I really, there's not a whole lot of other movies that are coming out that I'm like super excited for. I know when we mentioned, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Avatar: Fire and Ash.
Avatar, when's that coming out?
December this year, 26, I think.
No, what?
Yeah.
Are you sure it's not 2026?
No, they said 2025.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I love the second one. I love both of them. Yeah, let's look it up.
Avatar Fire. Yeah, December 19th, 2025.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's do it. Let's go. those movies are like really special also because they take like years and years to make. Like I
No, and
think
then also super like okay, I'm gonna be honest. I watched the second one. I walked out of theaters and I was depressed for 3 days, man. Like they take you to a whole new world. It's so insane.
oh, you didn't like the movie?
No, like it was just depressing. No, like
Oh, with the yeah, I forgot what happened. The kids died and stuff.
no, it's just like it makes you feel like you're in like the world of Pandora, and you come back in the real world. You're like, I want to be.
Oh, yeah. The Worlds is really immersive, and like those movies look good. They make you feel immersed. They're super long, but it's like I don't care because I'm getting immersed into the world. Have you ever been to Animal Kingdom?
No.
Because they have the Pandora real life Avatar like world there.
Oh yeah, for
Yeah,
Disney. Yeah. Oh man, dude, we
yeah,
got Disney California and well Disneyland here in California Adventure here, but we do not have Avatar, which sucks.
yeah. We got Avatar here in Florida, so maybe you can come down eventually. They have some cool rides and stuff. Um, but yeah, Avatar, that was a great movie. I didn't even know the third one's coming up this year, so I'll definitely look forward to that. Is there any other movies coming up that you're looking forward to this year?
Uh,
Because for me, I know we talked about remakes and stuff. The remaking How to Train Your Dragon.
oh
Um,
yeah,
I know I love that movie, and I haven't seen that movie in like 10 years, but like I'm kind of on the fence because I think it's gonna be good, but like I'm kind of afraid because it is part of my childhood, and
yeah.
like I hope they don't like mess it up or anything, or I hope it's not like cringe, and they don't strip the good parts from it, obviously. So I have mixed feelings about it, but I think it's gonna be actually pretty good.
Yeah, I'm honestly not too sure about it as well myself because I don't know if it's gonna be an hour and a half, there might just be a remake. Might as well just be a one for one remake. But if
Yeah,
they add 30 minutes, 45 minutes, they could really flesh out the story and expand it a bit more. Because the first How to Train Your Dragon was pretty good. I felt like it could have gone a bit deeper and a bit more closely with stuff. But hopefully this one they don't mess it up. They don't do anything dumb with it.
yeah.
I'm actually kind of like open to it. Hopefully it's good.
I'm open to it too. Like, I'm definitely gonna see it. Opening night and stuff. But it was, like I said before, this was my favorite movie growing up. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But in terms of like other movies coming out, there's not a whole lot of other
The
stuff.
Mind movie.
Oh yeah, Minecraft movie that comes out what next week? Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm gonna see that. I'll probably have a review, but by the time this podcast is up, I have a review on my channel talking about that movie. But I really want to see that movie. I have no idea for that. I think for that, it's either going to be people love it or people hate it type thing.
Yeah.
I think for the Super Mario Bros, that's something that people love in general. For most of the audiences, I love that movie. But it could turn into a Snow White type thing.
Oh yeah. And
Um,
to get like a 40-50% on Rotten Tomatoes, a score might be about 60-70 if I were to guess. I'm
yeah,
right.
let's do score prediction. So he said 40 to 50 for critics.
50 for Rotten Tomatoes. At worst, it'll probably hit like 20-30% of Rotten Tomatoes for audience reviews and scores. I'm hitting at about 50 to 60 around there.
For audience scores.
Yeah.
I think it'll be. It could go either way. It could really go either way. And I feel like for people watching this podcast now, people are like, oh, they already know in the back of their minds like how it's going to go. So even if it turns good or bad, I think it'll still be enjoyable because it's Minecraft and it's like it's just for fun, really. So that movie, How to Train Your Dragon. There was also Hurry Up Tomorrow by The Weeknd. It was called Hurry Up Tomorrow by The Weeknd, the rapper or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, that one has some good stars in it. Barry Cohen, or however you pronounce his last name. Then Jenna Ortega. That one looks pretty cool because it's like a trippy like musician type thing where like he's playing himself in the movie, and like he gets kidnapped by like a crazy fan, and like he's having like these weird musical psyops, and like they're it looks kind of weird and interesting. So I'm looking forward to that one that comes out in like May or something. But yeah, we'll have to see.
Cool. Karate Kid's Legend.
Oh yeah, I didn't see Cobra Kai like the last few seasons. I was really into the show. I love the show. Have you seen it?
Cobra Kai? No, my dad loved it, but then like I think season 3 or 4, he was like, "Man, I'm tired of it. Like it's just too much."
Yeah, it kind of got like repetitive and like it lowered its like coolness down because like at the beginning like there was like school fights and stuff. Like in season 2 there was this epic like school fight where like people were getting like their arms like broken and shit, people falling off like the ledges and stuff. Like holy shit, like this is kind of intense. Like there was a house break in of like the mansion and stuff. And then like in season 4 and 5 it was more of like tournaments and stuff. Like, all right, we'll settle this at the tournament and shit. And it was like some gay ass like like typical karate shit where these like they're 20-year-olds like pretending they're like 12 and like kind of like the Stranger Things effect. They're bowing down and they have like a tournament. It's like it gets a little bit repetitive, and I missed it when it was like kind of cool and like it was a bunch of high schoolers beating each other up in school.
Yeah,
that's what I like. That's what I like.
I feel like I'm gonna be honest. A lot of shows drag themselves to death, and they just kind of run out of things to do. That at some point the show kind of ends. Like let's say season 3, it feels like it ends, and they're just like dragging it along, bringing new villains and stuff. But it doesn't feel like it goes anywhere. At some point,
Yes.
I'll be honest. A show or a franchise has to die. You have to end it at some point, and it's really something that I believe a lot of shows struggle with, specifically Netflix. Like Stranger Things could have ended like season 3, like they could have finished things before. Season 3 actually, most likely, but they just kept continuing it and continuing it. Now it's just kind of like, where are you guys going?
Yeah, it's unfortunate because like it is a business also at the end of the day, and they're like, okay, well we got to keep making this because this is like our golden child here. But it's like, one, you run out of ideas, and 2, maybe that's what Cobra Kai had. Maybe they ran out of ideas and they just couldn't think of like what to do next. Well, I think that show ended, so thank God. So, but it's like the actors want consistent work. People love it. It's like a no-brainer for the studios to be like, okay, let's go, let's do another one, let's do another season. But it's like it gives the writers and maybe the creators more stress because they're like, okay, well, we got to like figure a way out to make this make sense. You have the continuation of the story. Where are these characters going? That type of thing, really.
Yeah.
So
it doesn't feel right for me. I feel like I'm going back to me all the time. But
no, yeah, you're good. Yeah.
I wrote my story to have an ends on season 3, and that's it. There's nothing after that. And I do have
season 3 is good because whenever you have like a trilogy is good. Like if you want to stretch it out to that, when you get to 4 and 5, that really stretches it out, I think.
Yeah, and then most people watch it too much because they're like, I have to watch 8 seasons, 27 episodes each season. I mean, for some people who really like that kind of stuff, they can go for it. But I want my story to really tap in deep and then end at some point. But something that I really want to do with my story is actually go back into the past and tackle, other things that happened to, like, let's say the past of this character, this certain topic or event that happened to both of these characters, so we could tackle back in the past.
Right. Yeah.
And overall, I could connect it to the future plot. It's like, oh, this makes sense. Companies, like, let's say they create a new franchise, they can always go back into the past of certain characters, then have to write new seasons and try to introduce new things and stretch it as long, like Stretch Armstrong, you stretch that shit till it breaks.
Yeah, I guess the better way of going about it, like you just said, is like going into the past where you're not using the same actors or stuff. You're using different people, maybe in a different timeline. Maybe like it happens to someone else during that time period. That's more interesting because, one, it's brand new. There's more ideas involved. It's a continuation. People want to see that. And then studios, I feel like that's the best course of action for everyone because you're continuing the franchise, but not necessarily the same stories, which breeds some more themes and different ideas coming aboard.
Yeah, like I'm thinking really of The Flash and how it uses the multiverse. I haven't watched The Flash myself, but how my brother explained it, he's like, bro, they introduced the multiverse and it created so much possibility. Like it like
Right.
to a lot of episodes. Some things he didn't like, but some things he was like, this show's amazing for a reason. I don't know what's going on with the Flash right now. I don't know if they're still continuing or if they're done.
I think it's over. Yeah. I think that was over like a while ago.
Oh, okay.
I never seen it, but like I just heard about it.
No, yeah, my brother says it's really good, and overall, I like how some shows can kind of expand upon ideas. The multiverse idea, I feel like a lot of shows are doing way too much now, but overall having
Yeah.
you can have a lot of different options for your story, but you always have to have it end. And if it ends horrendously, it's gonna be talked about of how bad it ended. So you have to end it right. If you keep
Right.
stretching and it ends horrendously, it's like you could have ended it season 3 really good, and you could have done maybe like a sequel or a spin-off of like
Right. You
but
don't want to keep stretching things out because, like, at the end of the day, um, everyone or people will start to notice, like, okay, yeah, this is dragging on a little bit much. And then once you get to that point, you start losing, like, kind of like the audience and stuff. Um, I think, like I said before, good. Oh, you okay?
Fast and the Furious.
Oh, fast. Really, that's a good example. But anything really needs to have a good ending. And the troublesome kind of answer is when you have these big franchises like Marvel, Star Wars, DC, there is no ending. So it gets kind of complicated. But when you have like a small scale story, maybe like your films, for example, or your show, for example, you have 3 seasons. You're gonna end it there. Maybe you said it before. Maybe do stuff in the past. Maybe do stuff in the future. There's always possibilities for that. But for one, like, yeah, definitely, especially like when I'm writing, I want to make sure my endings are good. When I have plans for trilogies, like I already have plans for like I have plans for like 10 different movies. Like I think about them all the time. When I have the ending, I have the ending set in stone for the characters. I'll still make movies and stuff, but it's like I want my characters to have a satisfying ending, and I want them to be around, but not around too much where the audience kind of just like checks out.
Yeah.
But speaking of endings, I think it's actually a good time to end the podcast here and not stretch it out not to stretch it out too much and like everyone's checked out by now or whatever. But I think we had a really great chat here. This has probably been our best one yet because this is so far our longest. We had a lot to talk about our filmmaking stuff, your animations, our stories moving forward, our YouTube stuff, and also just overall in Hollywood movies and stuff. So, it's been a pleasure once again, Omar, for you to be a part of this podcast.
Thank
I've loved doing these, but I know I do them so rarely because I have other videos I work on plus my
you.
movies. So it's like it's always a special treat when we do these podcasts. But
Yeah.
once every 3 months, that's what I try to do. So definitely love to have you on in the future. I want to do in real life podcasts. So I actually have like a studio that I reached out to, and I'm gonna probably do some real life ones with probably my actors and my other filmmaker friends, and get more people involved because I would love to make this kind of a more reoccurring thing if we can.
Mhm.
So yeah, once again, Omar, thanks again for joining me. Do you have like a Instagram or a YouTube channel you want to like kind of shout out or anything?
Well, I do have an Instagram. I probably will send it to you. I don't use Instagram. I'm gonna be honest. I just put my account on, so hopefully I start actually making stuff in the future and I can promote it through my Instagram. But for the meantime, it exists.
Yeah, well, I'll for sure link it in the description as well as mine. So if you want to reach out to Omar, if you want to just if you want to talk to him, shoot him a follow, shoot him a message and stuff, and I'm sure he'll get back to you. Same goes with me. So thanks again for watching Nick Studio episode 3. This is Nick Parren signing out. Thank you guys.